bounce-back game? Buying it?
Not really. I think that the Steelers need Aaron Rodgers to just be average, and at this point he's had an amazing game, he's had a bad game, he's been very inconsistent. And they're hoping for consistency from him. He's played Brian Flores once. Ironically, it was in an international game. He threw 54 times, had 3 picks, and a passer rating in the 50s. So I'm not really expecting much from Aaron Rodgers in this spot. It feels to me like the Steelers' formula is if their defense can do what it did last week. Now, I don't know
forced 5 turnovers? Well, that's going to be
and they barely won.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So, but they spend more money on the defensive side of the ball than any team in the NFL. I was going to say, obviously not 5 turnovers every game, but the only path for them for winning is if their defense plays up to its level of.
They have the worst defense in this game, though. I think that in this weekend they have the worst defense. It's also one of the only spots on the schedule where they definitely have the better quarterback because even though I'm not an Aaron Rodgers guy at this point, he's better than Carson Wentz. Right. I think that this is a dangerous spot for Aaron Rodgers.
Health-wise?
Yes.
Because he got sacked 0 times last week.
Yeah, and I think that I watched that Vikings-Bengals game probably closer than most because I might have had a little small financial investment in it. And that what they did to Jake Browning feels like they can definitely do that to Aaron Rodgers. Because at this point, I don't think they're stylistically Browning and Rodgers to me are similar enough as far as like if you get the ball out quick, right, that you can be accurate. And again, Rodgers is better than Jake Browning. I get that. But there's just no mobility. And I think the Steelers' offensive line has some weak spots. I think the Patriots showed it in that game. Oh, yeah. And I think this is a really, really tough spot for Pittsburgh. I like the Vikings a lot, and I think Aaron this is a game where you could see 4 or 5 sacks and another 4 or 5 quarterback hits. Like, I think that's a tough spot.
Well, look, that Minnesota defense obviously is tough, and the Steelers defense is going to have to be just as good. And you have to think they should have a good game against Carson Wentz. I get it, they have other weapons in Minnesota, but they gotta shut him down with Carson Wentz. And Rodgers, like you said, he has been very inconsistent. Obviously, if they get pressure on him, that's a problem. But they need to stack some wins. I get it. Minnesota's a very good defensive team, but they need to win some of these games.
I don't know if we can show the schedule like the same thing that I was saying. This show has not been high on the Steelers. Did you have them in the playoffs?
I did, yeah.
I think you were the only one of the 3 of us plus Greg and Coach.
Well, I'm not so quick to concede that the Vikings defense is better than the Steelers defense. Like,
really?
Well, statistically, through a couple of games, it's been that Week 1 game against the Jets was just weird.
Except this, I don't think the Steelers defense has played well yet.
I don't think
they gave up 31 to Seattle.
They gave to be fair, they gave up 24 because of that. I just think I haven't seen it yet from Pittsburgh. Yeah. But to the point, the reason I called up the schedule was if you picked them to go to the playoffs, it was based on, like Bruce said, starting off really well.
No question.
Not 2-2 going into the bye.
Okay, so I'm going to do something a little different here that I do occasionally. Pittsburgh Steelers fans, how do you feel about Aaron Rodgers? How do you think he's been playing? I don't think he's been really inconsistent. I don't think he's been the problem for this team at all. I mean, I think he's actually been playing pretty well. There's been some issues with this offense and just the flow of it all and just the team as a whole. I don't think Aaron Rodgers has been the source of these problems, but I'm really, really, really curious how Pittsburgh Steelers fans feel when they're watching this game. When they're watching the Steelers play, are they thinking, if we had a better quarterback, we would be winning more. We'd be a better team. That's what I'm curious about. And now, right now, these guys are all dunking on Carson Wentz and the Minnesota Vikings. That's a mistake. That is a mistake. And so this defense is going to have to rise to the occasion. But I'm telling you right now, don't think like, oh, we're going up against a backup quarterback. Our defense should be able to no. Carson Wentz easily could be Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones and those types of reemergences that we've seen. He's just never really been given the opportunity. He's now been given the opportunity with Kevin Unnell and the Minnesota Vikings. The big thing about him is that he is a little bit older. Those other quarterbacks are a lot younger. And, Carson Wentz has now been injured and banged up. So he's an older more injured quarterbacks. So it's not a, a direct comparison. But if there's enough juice left in Carson Wentz, then yeah, man, they can win some games. They can get after it. No question about it. So you do need the defense to be able to step up. And I don't think that this defense has necessarily been great. Maybe not as bad as Nick and Brew and Wilds are trying to act like they are. But this defense hasn't been what I was expecting them to be. And the Minnesota Viking defense has been great, but they've now also benefited from going up against, we'll say, lesser offenses. And that's why it's always hard to use rankings over these first few weeks, because it's like, what does that mean? Seriously, like what does that mean when you play? No, we played the Texans, the Falcons, and whoever. And I know that's not who they play. I'm just naming like lower level teams, the Panthers. It's like, okay. And like we have the best defense in the NFL. It's like, I mean, I guess technically that's what the stats show, but like you're not exactly playing the cream of the crop right now. So it will be interesting. And I think, Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers knows what this Viking defense is going to bring. So this is where I'm curious to see the innovation and the chess match that this Pittsburgh Steelers offense can bring. And that's why I'm really fascinated to see, like, what is the coaching plan? What is the game plan here? What are they going to do? What are they going to look to do? Are they going to be trying to get rid of the ball, quickly? They're going to try to run the ball more like, what is the plan here? That's what I'm excited to look at, because this has been the name of the game for Aaron Rodgers. When he's been protected, he has 120 passer rating. Okay? He's had a ton of success, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, 440 passing yards, just a lot of success. Top 3 in touchdown passes. This is when he's protected. This is when he's in a clean pocket. 78% completion percentage. Top 8 in the NFL. Just a lot of stuff, Just a lot of good stuff there. When he's under pressure, everything plummets. His passer rating goes down to 32. 32. He's got 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. The 1 interceptions was not really on him. A 27.3% completion percentage. And yeah, it just hasn't been the best. 6 completions out of 22 pass attempts. That's not just Aaron Rodgers. That some of that is on Aaron, and some of that is on coaching that, and just the players around him having to be in a position to, make a play for him, give him an out here, because if you're expecting Aaron Rodgers at this point with the pressure coming to be able to just expose the defense, rip off a long ball, that's just not who Aaron Rodgers is going to be at this moment of time. It's just not going to be what he can do. It's not going to be where his strengths lie. But at the very least, it's just about getting some completions. Because even someone like a Matthew Stafford, for instance, who's not necessarily lighting the NFL up in terms of, under pressure and whatnot, but still getting some completions, right? Still going 14 for 31, still just getting positive yards. And with Aaron Rodgers, it's just been too much negative and too much incompletions, and then it just things can kind of spiral. But we see such a massive gap and such a difference in that regard. And again, to be clear, under pressure, as you can see when you look at the numbers, everyone's got a significantly lower completion percentage. It's actually pretty shocking when you really break it down. You see Jalen Hurts at 53%, Sam Darnold 55%, Lamar Jackson 59%, Justin Herbert 45%, right? So like these numbers do always have to be put into context, because if you don't really know what you're looking at, it can sound pretty awful. Matthew Stafford's passer rating under pressure 67.1, Justin Herbert 70.3, Josh Allen 75.8, right? Like, so it's just you do get a mix. You can't expect to see even remotely comparable numbers under pressure in that regard. And as the season goes on, a lot of times you're looking for, I'll do last season's total. I mean, Joe Burrow, who was just an absolute monster, 1,400 yards under pressure, 15 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. But if we want to just go a little bit more middle of the pack here, right? Like even just a Bryce Young, who's hardly anything to really look at, or a Justin Herbert or Jaden Daniels, Mr. Mobile himself, right? Rookie of the year, Matthew Stafford. We can even look at, we'll just use Stafford as an example, okay? He had 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions when he was under pressure, and a 46% completion percentage, and a passer rating of 50. So, when you're an older quarterback and you're dealing with pressure, like, yeah, your team has to kind of make sure that they can really minimize this here. They got to make sure that they can, that you're getting rid of the ball here, right? And then when you're kept clean, in a clean pocket, the success that you have when you are clean has to greatly outweigh everything else. Whereas you could see with Matthew Stafford now, 2,900 yards, 7.9 yards per attempt, 18 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So it's like when you're in a clean pocket, perfection, it gives you a lot more room to be kind of messy when you're under pressure. So, it's kind of a give and take thing here, where on one side you want to be able to elevate the floor of when you are under pressure. But if you can't, if that's just not in your deck of cards at this instance of your career, whether it's because of the issues of the O-line, because of the roster that you're dealing with, the coaching staff, or just the, how old of a quarterback you are in this moment of time, it's like, all right, well, then when we do protect you, you got to make everyone pay. You got to make everyone pay. And that is what Stafford was able to do. And so you were able to have things significantly balanced out there. And Aaron Rodgers, when he is protected, he will be able to pick you apart. He will be able to make the throws. He will be able to make the right reads. He will be able to make the right decisions. He will be able to do that. You got to give him the opportunities. You got to make the plays around him to have some of this balance out. But if you're not even going to make the plays for him when he's got time to throw, and you're now going to be a mess when you're under pressure, then things start to spiral. So it's going to be interesting. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers? Do you believe that Aaron Rodgers will bounce back, as Mike Tomlin put it? Double thumbs up. Or do you think it'll be a tough go against the Minnesota Vikings? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.